Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to my Tax Talk with Accountant Ben Lai. 大家好，好多謝咧各位今晚星期五啊，係喺星期五晚上咧嚟到參與由我同黎樹坤特許會計師舉辦呢一個稅務專題講座。Ben and I have known each other for quite a while. I think Ben, when you were really, really young, right?
Yeah.
I think probably more than 20 years ago. And let me take this opportunity to introduce this incredible young man. 阿 Ben 咧同我已經認識一段嘅日子，其實阿 Ben 我認識佢嘅時候，佢都係唔可以話細路仔嘅，都係佢而家好年青嗰陣時，仲係青少年咁啦，而家都係啱啱成為咗一個1歲大嘅爸爸啦，嘅女仔嘅 BB 嘅爸爸。咁咧，等我先介紹咧呢個咁年青有為嘅朋友先嚇。Ben graduated from UBC with Bachelor of Science and further obtained his Master of Science in not accounting but in genetics. Ben is a chartered professional accountant and opened his firm in my beautiful riding of Richmond Law Center. He is also an adjunct professor teaching accounting courses at a local college. On the weekend, Ben also hosts a radio show at a Chinese radio station doing a program relating to taxation and legal issues. 咁黎樹坤會計師阿 Ben 咧，係 BC 大學咧，佢係攞到學士同碩士學位嘅。頭先我講英文嘅時候咧，佢嘅碩士學位咧就唔係讀會計嘅，就係讀 genetics 嘅。咁佢係一位特許專業會計師啦。喺我所屬嘅列治文北中選區開設咗會計師嘅事務所。Ben 亦都係本地專上學院擔任客座教授，同埋喺本地一個華語電台咧，喺一個節目度咧就係專門講法律同埋稅務咧就主持嘅。Ben, I understand there are quite some changes when it comes to filing taxes for 2020. Can you let us know about these changes? 阿 Ben 啊，
Yes.
我知道咧2020年度報稅方面咧有唔少新嘅改動，可唔可以同我哋分享下咧？
當然可以啦。Thank you, Teresa, and inviting me to today's talk. And would like to share with you what you need to watch out for the 2020 tax season. 或者而家我 share 我個 screen 俾大家睇下個 PowerPoint 好冇？
好啊。Oh yeah, thanks. Go ahead.
All right. Once again, thank you everyone for coming today. And it was Friday evening. Should be relaxing evening, and then you have to come here and listen to my boring tax talk. And I hope I did not bore you guys, and I try to keep it more entertaining. So so today's topic is what is the tax update, and the what I use Teresa what. Okay, what is the tax update for 2020. So today I will go through quickly what our tax rate and our tax bracket is, what is the COVID tax relief, and some benefit that you receive. Is it taxable or not taxable? Do I need to pay tax or I don't need to pay tax? And touch on a little bit about how do I reduce my taxes. All right, so before I start, I always have a little game with my audience. So
Ben,
yep.
I don't know whether you should also translate into Cantonese as well for the benefit of some of the audience.
OK，咁今日好多謝大家嚟到呢個我個稅務講座啦，亦都好多謝阿屈議員嘅邀請，咁俾我呢個機會可以同大家分享下2020年度嘅稅務需要注意啲乜嘢嘢嘅。咁今日我會同大家首先會講下今年嘅嗰個稅率啦，同埋嗰個稅網係點樣啦，同埋嗰個 COVID-19 喺稅務上有乜嘢可以優惠啦。同埋嗰啲政府嘅福利咧，需唔需要打稅啦？邊款福利需要打稅，邊款福利係唔需要打稅啦？同埋有啲乜嘢可以小 tips 可以幫助大家減低個稅務嘅。So before I start, I will usually play a little game with my audience. 咁開頭咧，我哋開始之前，我通常都會 warm 一下，同大家玩啲遊戲嘅。So I'm pretty sure everyone knows these two answers, right? What are the two certain things? What are the two things that are certain, right? I'm pretty sure I don't have to say it. I'm pretty sure all of you know. But do you know this question here? A fine is a tax for doing what? Well, a fine is a tax of when you do it wrong, right? So if you file a tax wrong, obviously there will be a fine from CRA, right? 咁假如大家報錯稅或者報漏咗嘅話，咁當然啦，可能有個罰款喺度啦。So that's why you have to find a good accountant to do your taxation 。咁所以揾一個好會計師嘅話好重要嘅。How about this one here? A tax is a fine of doing what? 假如另外一個咧就係稅務，又係一個乜嘢款嘅，係罰你啲咩嘢咧？ A tax is a fine of doing well. So if you're really successful, then you have to pay a little bit more tax, right? But don't you worry, and that's why you finding a good accountant is very important to help you save taxes. Okay, but after Ben helping you to plan it out, and you're still not happy with the taxes that you're paying, you say, Ben, I think it's still too high. The tax rate is still too high. And then I'll have to refer to your specialist. You have to talk to Teresa and talk to the government, maybe to reduce the tax bracket. Okay. So enough for the jokes. Let's go into my presentation. So thank you, Teresa, for introducing me. So I will kind of really touch base a little quicker. So I came into Canada, immigrated to Canada about in the 90s with my family, and I work in a mid-sized firms for my training, and now I'm solo practicing tax and accounting in my own accounting firm, and also accounting instructors in a local college, and I also host a radio show and a YouTube on YouTube for legal topics. So let's touch on 2020. What kind of tax bracket we are looking at? Okay, so if you look at the screen there, for the federal, if you earn below 48,000, you're taxing on 15%. Between 48 to 97, you're taxing about 20.5, and so on and so forth. For the BC, if you earn below 41,000, you're taxing on 5.06. Between 41,000 to 83,000, you're taxing on 7.7. And if you combine them, if you look on the right side, if you combine them, that is what the combined rate will be. So let's say you earn $96,000, then the extra $1,000 will be taxing on 32.79%, and the rest will be 31%, 20.2%, 22.7%, and 20.06%. So that's the combined rate, just for your reference.
Ben, can you go back and speak in Cantonese as well, please?
Oh, OK。咁呢個咧就係2020年我哋加拿大嘅同埋 BC 省嘅稅網同埋稅階啦。咁個 percentage 咧，咁大家需要注意嘅咧就係喺省政府嗰度咧，佢哋今年係加大咗嗰個稅階嘅，即係話原本係冇依20.5%，係啦，20.5%原本係冇嘅，係今年加落去嘅。咁假如你個收入係22萬以上嘅話咧，你要就俾20.5%。上年咧，你22萬以上咧，你哋都係俾緊16.8% 嘅啫。咁大家都應該睇得到啦，就係話，假如你係4萬8樓下咧，喺聯邦你就俾15%啦。假如你係4萬1樓下咧，咁你喺省政府裏邊咧就俾5.06% 嘅。咁右手邊呢個咧就係佢哋兩個加埋一齊嘅話，其實你係俾緊幾多個 percent？ 譬如你賺4萬1咧，你就俾緊20.06%。咁多過4萬1個部分咧，就咁樣就俾緊22.7%。咁如此類推啦。咁大家都可以睇下呢個表參考下嘅。So I'm pretty sure some of you will be or already did receive the benefit from the government, right? Everyone heard about the $2,000 CERB, and then some people will have EI, and some people may have the CRB, the most recent one, and then the CRSB and CLCB. And our BC have the BC recovery benefit, which is the $500 for individual and $1,000 for a family. So you've been receiving that in 2020, and maybe some of them in 2021 too. So are they taxable? Do you need to pay tax on that? And did they actually withhold you money, just like your T4, right? If you have a paycheck, you should earning $1,000, but you don't get 1,000 because your employer withholds some of the money for taxes, right? So are those benefits actually withhold any taxes? So this slide here will have the summary for you. Pretty much all the federal government's benefit is taxable. Okay, so that means yes, they are kindly to give it to you, but in return, you have to pay tax back. Okay. So if you receive CRB, then you should expecting you are getting a T4A or T4E. If you're receiving EI and you will expect to get a T4E, and if you receive CRB, CRSB, CRCB, then you will expect to receive a T4A. If you still haven't received it yet, then my suggestion is if you have my account, which is a CRA account that you can go in, is your own personal account that you can log in and check. Did you find any slips up there? Okay, sometimes because of the mail and stuff like that, it may get lost, but the CRA server should have it. Okay, are those ones been withhold taxes? So most of them do, as you can see that EI withhold taxes, CRB withhold 10%, CRSB, CRCB, they all withhold some money. But CERB, it does not withhold any money. That's why I put a red no in there. And you will find out why I put a red in here in a second, because I've been seeing, I would say, most of my clients not quite happy this year when he or she seeing me this year and say, Ben, I already have no jobs. Why I have to pay taxes? I said, well, that is because the CERB, they did not withhold any taxes. And I have to explain the reason why, sort of giving a 5 or 10 minutes lecture on that. And one thing that you need to know that is the BC $500 or $1,000 that for family is not taxable. So you will not receive anything, and you do not need to include that $500 or $1,000 in your tax return. So I will say in Cantonese, I guess. 咁我相信大家都可能會有啲人攞咗個政府嘅福利啦，嗰個 CERB 2000蚊啦嚇，每個月嘅2000蚊，同埋或者每個禮拜900蚊啊嗰啲嗰個福利咁樣，咁嗰啲係需唔需要打稅嘅咧？咁嗰啲係要打稅嘅 ，OK， 佢俾得你嘅話咧，就要還翻啲嘢俾佢嘅。咁所以假如你係有收過呢啲嘅話咧，咁你就要睇下你個郵啦，嗰個電郵唔係電郵，嗰個郵箱啦嚇，或嗰個 mail 啦。你會 expect 會收到有啲 T4A 咧或者 T4E 啦嚇喺你個郵箱度嘅。咁假如你仲未收到嘅話咧，咁你就可以上去稅務局嗰個 My Account， 呢個係每一個人都可以申請一個嘅，就係你自己專係 for 你獨立用嘅。咁你可以上去睇得到你所有以往嘅報稅記錄啦，同埋攞到呢啲可能記失咗嘅我哋叫 slip 嗰啲政府報稅單嘅嚇。咁你會見得到咧，我右手邊嗰度有個寫住個 no 就紅色嘅。咁點解我要好特別地寫一個紅色咧？就係因為 CERB 派出去嗰陣時咧，政府係冇 hold 住一啲錢去幫你交稅嘅，其他咧都會有嘅，譬如你 EI 啊、CRB 啊都會 hold 住10% 到去同你交咗啲稅先嘅，但係 CERB 冇。假如係冇嘅話咧，報稅好似而家呢段時間嘅話咧，你就要小心啦，因為咧你有好大機會係需要俾翻啲錢翻去嘅。咁底下嗰個 BC 省嗰個啦，500蚊個人同埋1000蚊家庭嘅話咧，嗰個咧就唔係唔需要交，即係唔需要打稅嘅，呢個係 non-taxable 嘅。亦都會有啲好多人問就話，咁香港嘅1萬蚊政府派嗰個又使唔使打稅嘅咧？嗰個已經 confirm CRA confirm 咗㗎啦，係嗰個係唔需要打稅嘅，亦都唔需要放落去個稅表度申報嘅，同呢個 BC 省 recovery benefit 係一模一樣嘅嚇。咁所以大家就可以放心，嗰100蚊嘅話唔需要話使唔使要俾稅啊，成啊咁樣嘅。So let me give you an example, okay? For let's say you have employment during 2020 because the first 2 months it was not locked down, so you work, and then in March it get locked down, so you only go there for maybe part-time or even maybe only 2 days per week, and you earn not more than $1,000 per month or per pay or per benefit period. And let's say at the end of the year you get a T4, you the whole year you receive $17,000 as employment income, and your employer, let's say, withhold $700. Okay, so your T4 comes to the mail, you saw it, you earn 17,000. The employer withhold $700, and you also apply for CERB and CRB. Okay, and here's the difference. If you apply for CERB and let's say you receive $6,000 and they did not withhold you any money, at the end, right now, when you file taxes, you have to pay $386.25. Okay. But on the other hand, let's say I did not apply for CERB, I applied for CRB, I received exactly the same amount, $6,000. And because each payment they withheld 10%, so $6,000, 10%, $600. And when you do the tax, like right now, and you are getting $213.75 refund. And you will say, Ben, how can that be happening, right? Same employment income, same employer withholding, same amount of benefit, 6,000 CERB, 6,000 CERB, exactly same amount. But because one is withholding, one is not, your end result is one of them you have to pay, one of them you get a refund. And most of the time, my client is at the CERB level, so they are paying, and that's why they are not happy. You say, Ben, did you actually did it wrong? I say, no, I'm pretty sure I did it right. Because they said it doesn't make sense. I don't have a job anymore, but why have to pay? I said, well, because it does not withhold the tax for you, and that's why at the end you have to pay. So I will do it in Cantonese now. 好，咁俾個例子大家啦，咁當係譬如話大家喺2020年有工作嘅，咁大概收到17,000蚊嘅工資，咁你個僱主應該就 hold 咗700蚊，當佢 hold 咗700蚊嘅工資俾所謂700蚊嘅稅務俾加拿大稅務局。好啦，咁當然啦，2020年有啲時間嘅話就 lock down 咗，大家冇嘢做，咁就向政府申請唔同嘅福利啦。咁有一個叫 CERB， 有一個 CRB， 有一個 CERB， 有一個叫 CRB。咁我就嗰個例子就係、當你都係攞6000蚊，唔論你 CRB 攞6000蚊定係 CERB 6000蚊，都係攞嗰6000蚊。咁個唔同嘅地方就係因為 CRB 咧，佢派俾你之前咧，佢 hold 住10%嘅，即係你係攞唔到嗰6000蚊嘅，你係攞到6000蚊減600蚊，即係5400蚊嘅啫。咁有600蚊佢係 hold 住咗。喺政府度就當係 hold 住你啲稅嘅，但係 CERB 咧佢就冇 hold 到嘅，嗰6000蚊就全部俾晒你，你就喺你銀行袋平安嘅。咁但係咧個問題就出現咗啦，到而家報稅嗰陣時咧，你去揾會計師報或者自己報嗰陣時，你會發覺，咦，我攞 CERB 咧，點解我仲要爭緊錢嘅？我都冇嘢做咯，點解我仲要俾錢出去嘅？咁個原因咧就因為 CERB 派錢嗰陣時，佢冇同你 hold 住啲錢，咁但係我哋頭先講過啦。呢兩款福利咧都係需要計稅嘅，咁所以你計完稅之後，原來你仲爭緊政府錢嘅。咁假如喺呢個例子裏邊嘅話，你工資係17,000蚊，你攞6000蚊嘅 CERB 嘅福利，你去到年尾而家報稅時間嘅話咧，你會大概爭緊稅務局係386個2毫半。假如你攞 CRB 同嗰6000蚊，但係唔係 CRB 係 CRB 嘅話咧，你咧可能 expect 緊有213蚊7毫半 refund 翻俾你嘅。咁所以大家今年報稅嗰陣時需要注意就係呢個地方啦，就係假如你係知道自己攞嘅係 CERB 嘅話咧，可能你都需要準備啲錢要俾稅務局嘅。好啦，咁呢個就係圈就係因為嗰個10% 就好緊要嘅。咁或者呢度我好快脆講一講，頭先我都可能講過噶啦，就係點解你需要俾啦。咁或者呢個咧就係一個加拿大報稅其實係點樣個架構係點樣啦？就係首先大家會加晒你所有嘅收入啦，個 income 啦，唔論你係一個employment 即係你個工資收入啦，或者你攞緊個福利啦 ，CERB 或者 CRB 啦，或者自僱人士啦，或者投資收入啦，利息啊、股息啊，嗰個capital gain 係叫做增值啊，或者你租金收入啊，咁嗰啲加埋晒一齊，呢個就係你嗰年嘅收入。跟住我哋有啲 deduction 啦，可以俾你遞減嘅啦，大家都應該都好熟噶啦。譬如 RSP 啦，你買 RSP 嘅話就可以同你減低你嘅taxable income 啦，或者你係有工會嘅咁啊，嗰啲工會嘅費用啦，或者你係搬屋嘅 moving 嘅有 moving expense 啦，或者其他嘅今年嘅特別嘅就係大家都成日都講嗰400蚊聯邦政府，假如你屋企做嘢嘅，每日2蚊，最多去到200日，咁就400蚊可以俾你遞減嘅。OK。咁你做完呢個 calculation 嘅話咧，你出嚟嗰個咧就係叫做 net income 啦，就叫做淨收入啦。 咁一般人嚟嘅淨收入咧，又係等於你嘅 taxable income 噶啦。大部分人都會係咁樣嘅，咁就會用呢個 taxable income 去計你唔同嘅稅率啦。好啦，咁點解頭先我講就點解需要會俾稅咧？有扣到稅同冇扣到稅嘅分別喺邊度咧？就係呢一度會解釋到俾大家聽啦。假如你個僱主係 hold 咗你700蚊，但係計出嚟你需要俾1086蚊2毫半稅嘅話咧，咁之後你自己仲爭緊稅局386個2毫半，咁所以點解假如你個福利係冇加到落去嘅話咧，你只要自己揞386個2毫半出嚟啦。咁下邊呢個 example 咧，就係政府派錢俾你嗰陣時，已經 hold 住咗你錢噶啦。咁所以你會見到我下邊就寫住 T4A CRB with hold 咗600蚊，見唔見到呢度600蚊啊？佢 hold 住咗你啦已經。咁所以你已經俾人 hold 住咗，hold 住緊呢個1003蚊噶啦，1003蚊稅。咁所以你其實正真要俾嘅話係1086個2毫半嘅啫。佢已經 hold 咗你1003蚊稅，咁所以佢就會退翻213蚊俾你嘅。咁點解所以話點解有啲人同收入但係攞唔同嘅福利嘅話咧，佢 at the end 嗰個結果咧，有啲要俾稅，有啲唔使俾稅咧，就係咁嘅原因啦。So this one here I go quickly explain our tax system in Canada. So first will be you include all your income, employment income, your benefit income, self-employment, investment, rental, all added together. And then you will deduct from your deductions. Well, everyone know about the RSP, right? I can help you reduce taxes, the union fee that you pay, moving expense, or this year we got the employment expense, the $2 per day for 200 days, which is a $400 maximum claim. So after you do that calculation, it will come into a net income, okay? For most people, net income will be the same as your taxable income. And then you use the taxable income to calculate how much tax you need to pay. In the bottom, you will see different tax rate and different tax bracket. So after you calculate how much tax you need to pay, which is become your tax payable, now you will be offsetting how much tax that you already been withhold by either your employer or by the government. So in case number 1 here, your employer withholds $700, but the benefit did not withhold anything, and your tax liability is $1,086.25. So that is why you are still owning CRA $386. Okay, on the other hand, if you're receiving the CRB, which they already withhold 10% from that $6,000 that you receive. So you already been withheld $600 and the $700 from your employer. So the total is about $1,300. And your tax liability is only $1,086. And that is why, in this case, you got $213 refund back. And that's why, even though you and your colleague earn the exact same amount of employment, but you receive CRB, you receive CRB, he receives CRB, and there's a 2 different outcome. You have to pay tax, he get a refund back. Another thing that you need to watch for is
sorry Simon， 有個問題翻返去頭先嗰度咧，個 employment expense 嗰個計法咧就2蚊一日，最多400蚊啦。咁但係由佢疫情爆發之後 pandemic 之後到年尾，其實都唔止200日嘅喎。咁其實嗰個計每一日2蚊係 base on 有啲咩 condition 咧？即係佢會計到係最多200日咁樣咧。
嗱，其實佢嗰度嘅咧，好似有冇我第一間都會可能會 touch up 得到關於嗰400蚊嗰度嘅，或者可能第4個 slide、第3、第4個 slide 度，我會解釋嗰400蚊同其他嗰啲 employment expense 有咩唔同，好嘛？好，咁我繼續先。咁T4 呢度咧，我想同大家分享或者需要注意到嘅就係 box 57、58、59同60呢4個 box 係今年先至有嘅啫，以前係冇嘅。咁呢幾個 box 係乜嘢嚟嘅咧？呢個 box 就係話俾 CRA 聽，喺呢啲時間段，你見到3月15號至5月9號、5月10號至7月4號，如此類推。呢啲嘅時間段裏邊，你嘅收入、你嘅工資收入係幾多？咁點解 CRA 需要知道咧？佢就睇下你之前去申請 CERB 或者 CRB 嗰陣時符唔符合個資格。咁假如大家記得嘅話 ，CERB 申請嗰陣時，佢係必須要你每一個 period 你個 apply 你個申請嘅時段啊，呢個CERB 個 period 啦嚇，係唔可以多過1000蚊嘅。咁所以你見得到啦，呢個 T4A 呢個 T4 嘅話咧，佢喺3月至5月呢段期間佢唔應該申請嘅。假如佢有嘅話咧，佢申請咗嘅話咧，佢應該退翻俾加拿大稅務局噶啦。呢一段時間又係唔得，呢段時間又係唔得，淨係得呢一個嘅話先至可以嘅啫。咁所以大家攞到 T4 今年嘅話咧，或者都要即係留心睇一睇自己嗰個呢幾個4個箱有冇超過1000蚊，同埋有冇喺呢段時間去攞咗 CERB 嘅。So this year for the T4 to watch out for is those 4 new boxes right here, the 57, 58, 59, 60s. These boxes only appear this year. It wasn't in any T4 in 2019 tax year. Those 4 boxes is actually the period that you're applying for CERB. Okay, even though that you did not apply, your payroll will also put it in there. Because the payroll does not know that you apply or not, right? So they will put it there for CRA to know in those 4 periods what is your earning is. Okay, so everyone, if you recall what the requirements, one of them is during that period that you apply for CERB, that $2,000, you cannot have an employment income or self-employment income together greater than $1,000. So if you see any of those boxes that is greater than 1,000 and you did receive that $2,000 for that period, then you will have to pay CRA back that money. Okay, so that is that. So that is the another thing that you have to watch out for. Beside the $1,000 for each period, there are also a 3,800 net income threshold. So if you, at the end of the year for the 2020, if you actually receive or have $38,000 net income or more, then you have to pay back some of your CRB. Okay, remember, it's a net income, not an employment income. Okay, if you still not quite sure what is a net income is, that's why I put this one here to explain. Net income is including all the income, not just employment income. It's including your employment income, self-employment, investment. Okay, some people, they don't have a job, but what happened is they stay at home, they do stock trading, and they actually, making more than they go to work. Some of them to become professional. So if you add it all together, is greater than 38,000, then you have to claw back some of the money. Okay. So how does the clawback work? Is every excess amount you have to claw back 50 cents. So let's say at the end of the year you calculate your net income is $40,000. You minus 38,000. That's 2,000 additional. So 2,000 multiplied by 50 cents. So you have to repay $1,000. Okay. And also just want to touch up if for seniors, if you have OAS, OH security, the clawback for 2020 is $79,000. Start clawing back, and the maximum 128,000. Then you don't get anything. You have to pay everything back. Okay, so that is just add on. 或者用廣東話講一講啦，呢度咁除咗呢1000蚊個規定之外啦，假如你攞呢個福利，你唔可以超過1000蚊嘅工資收入之外咧，假如你全年裏邊你嘅收入係超過38,000蚊嘅話咧，咁你就需要俾翻啲加拿大稅務局噶啦。咁個計算方式咧就係當係你有4萬蚊嘅淨收入啦。咁淨收入嘅話，我頭先都略略講過，就係話唔係話淨係你嘅打工收入嘅，淨收入係你所有嘅收入減除你嗰啲可以減嘅嘢，譬如話 RSP 你買咗 RSP 啦，譬如你有工會費啊，咁奇嚟夸啦嗰啲咧，你減晒之後，呢個 net income 係超過38000嘅話咧，咁你就開始要俾翻啲政府啦。咁點樣俾法咧？就係每1蚊超過嘅話咧，就俾翻5毫子政府，即係50%啦。咁舉個例子俾大家啦，譬如你有4萬蚊，你計咗你4萬蚊年底有4萬蚊嘅淨收入嘅，減38000，咁即係多出2000蚊啦。咁2000蚊乘以5毫子，咁即係你要俾翻1000蚊加拿大稅務局嘅。OK， 咁好啦，咁呢一 part 嘅話，或者俾個少少 tips 大家啦。 頭先你見到呢個 net income 係好緊要嘅，即係我哋做 accounting 或者同 lawyer 嘅話，每一個字咧都好緊要，因為佢講係 net income 啊嘛，係咪 net income 啊？即係頭先都俾㗎，係依個位啊嘛。好啦，咁當係我炒股票炒得好好啦，我炒譬如話我買股票買賣，我真係賺咗4萬蚊，賺咗4萬蚊收入。咁我又唔想俾翻加拿大政府點樣咧？因為佢話寫明係 net income 噶嘛。咁所以假如你係喺2020年你買咗 RSP 嘅話，又係買咗2000蚊嘅話咧，咁你個 net income 咧就會跌翻落去38000啦。咁咧你就唔需要 call back 俾翻加拿大稅務局。嗱，呢個係 legal 嘅，唔合法，呢個係絕對合法嘅。呢個就係爭在你點樣去理解佢嗰個條文係點樣嘅。OK， 咁所以係啦，呢個嘅話可以大家去參考下。咁所以things to consider 就係話 RSP can help you reduce your net income。OK，so but make sure you check your RSP room。唔好話我買2000蚊啦，咁但係原來你發覺自己係冇額嘅，咁嘅話咧，你亦都要小心，就係因為你 over contribute 嘅話咧 ，CRA 亦都會去罰你嗰個over contribution 個 RSP 嘅。So this one here。there's also a clawback。我講咗英文未啊？呢度我唔記得咗。
好似
已經講咗個 clawback
講啦，講咗。
OK， 唔該晒。
講咗英文先啊，你係。
OK， 唔該。Okay, so this one here, one of the audience asked about the $400 deduction, right? $2 per day for 200 days, and the question brought up is from March lockdown till December, that's more than 200 days. So do I only get maximum 400, or I can actually claim more? Well, in CRA this year, you got two methods. Okay, CRA actually give you two methods to do it. If you are like me, a lazy one, I don't keep any receipts. Okay, I did not keep any like electrical bill or gas or utility and stuff like that. I just want to claim it. Then CRA say, okay, if you are that lazy, we still allow you to claim. Okay, it will be $2 per day, maximum 200 days. Okay, so that's why it's maximum $400. Even though you spend 600 days in well, it can't be 600. Let's say 300 days at home, you're still claiming maximum 400, which is 200 days maximum. Okay, but the criteria is you have to work 50% or more from home for at least 4 weeks, consecutively 4 weeks. So you cannot go to, work home for 1 week and go back to the office for another week and then come back for another week and go back to another week. You cannot do that. You have to be consecutive 4 weeks during 2020. So that is the first method. That's the lazy method. It's called the flat rate method. But one of the audience is saying that, hey, I actually have more expenses, way more than $400. Then what should I do? Well, CRA allow you to do what we call a detail method. Okay, but this one here, you will require a form called T2200S from your employer, and you also have to keep all the receipts. Okay, so CRA have the right to come and ask you for the supporting. Okay, so you can do that also if you feel yourself, can claim more than 400. And then there's also a traditional way for employment expense that is not related to COVID. That is, people who the employer require to work at home, then they will issue the normal T2200. Okay. 咁啊，或者講呢個啦，就大家都有陣時聽到嘅就係CRA 今年有個400蚊嘅喺屋企做嘢嘅減稅優惠啦。咁其實有兩款嘅，咁我點解呢度3個咧？因為第3個嘅話咧，就係不嬲都有噶啦，就係你個僱主要求你係喺屋企做嘢，或者要求你成日揸車走嚟走去啊，咁佢都會出呢一張方叫 T2200俾你嘅。咁呢個不嬲都有噶啦，呢個唔係因為疫症先有嘅。但係頭嗰兩個咧 ，flat rate 同埋呢個 simple detail method 咧。呢個咧就係淨係針對呢個疫情係有嘅啫。咁 flat rate 嗰個咧就係最簡單啦，俾啲懶人嘅，好似我咁樣嘅，咁就係我又唔使 keep 單，乜嘢都唔需要，我淨係需要符合個條件就係話超過50% 嘅時間係工作做嘢啦，同埋我工作時段係一定要連續4個禮拜嘅啫。咁假如我符合呢個條件嘅話咧，我就可以 claim 2蚊1日。最多200日，所以最多可以 claim 到400蚊。 咁但係你有啲人就話啊，咁我其實我喺屋企做嘢超過200日，同埋我個使費嘅話係超過400蚊嘅喎，咁有冇得 claim 咧？咁有嘅，咁稅務局話，假如你係咁嘅話咧，咁你就可以用一個叫做 detail method。咁但係呢一個咧嗰個要求咧就比較嚴苛啲啦。咁你就需要向個僱主攞一張 T2200S 啦 ，OK， 同埋你需要 keep 晒所有單。第一個 method flat rate method 咧就唔需要 keep 任何單嘅。但係第二個 method 咧，你想 claim 多啲咧，就需要 keep 單嘅。咁 CLA 係有權翻嚟去問你攞單，跟住睇你個計算方式嘅。咁呢個就係今年特有嘅。And also CLA have a new interest relief for 2020. Okay, so if you owe money, like back in this case here. Remember this case, the $386.25. If you owe money to CRA, you can actually defer it and not paying it until next year, 2020, April 30th. So 1 year, 1 full year for you to pay your tax with no interest. Okay, no interest. But you have to meet the requirement. The requirement is your taxable income must be less than $75,000. You must receive one of the COVID-19 support benefit in 2020. So that would be CRB, CRB, EI, all those things that you see in here. And this is very important. You have to file your 2020 tax on time. Okay, so I got some client ask me, oh, I can file the tax next year. I say, no. You still file your tax on time, but you don't pay that payment or you don't pay that tax owing until next year. If you file late, there's still a late penalty of 5% of the amount owing. And if you delay it 2 or 3 months, and each additional month will be 1% of penalty. So tax still have to file on time, but the payment can defer it next year. Okay, and you don't need to do any application for defer. It's just automatically. Okay, if you fulfill the requirement, it will automatically defer it for you if you don't pay. 咁今年 CRA 咧就有個叫做利息豁免啦，或者優惠俾你咁啦，叫做咁，但係要符合一個條件嘅，就係符合幾個條件嘅，就係你個打稅收入啦，唔可以高過75,000蚊，同埋你一定要係有收到政府任何一個嘅疫症福利。咁包括頭先我哋講解個 CRB 啊或者 CRB 啊，咁你有收到嘅話咧，咁你就可以符合啦。咁但係要記住嘅就係佢俾1年時間你去俾錢，但係唔係話1年時間你去報稅。報稅仍然要喺今年嘅4月30號2021年去報稅。假如你遲報嘅話咧，咁你就會俾人哋打5% 嘅罰款啦。加埋，假如你遲3個月嘅話，每個月都要加多1% 上去嘅。咁所以呢個要注意，報稅仍然需要係準時報，只不過你爭稅嘅話咧，佢俾1年時間你，唔收你利息，可以俾嗰個稅款可以1年後先至俾嘅。So there's a new federal tax credit. There's 2 new federal tax credit this year. One of them is called Digital News Subscription Tax Credit. Is a non-refundable tax credit up to $500. And if you subscribe the listed qualified Canadian journalism organization subscription, then you're qualified. And what are they? They are like Globe and Mail, Vancouver Sun, the province. And I did check, Mingpao and Singtao, unfortunately, is not on the list. And I don't know why, but it is not on the list. 咁呢個係今年新嘅聯邦政府嘅稅務優惠啦。假如你係去買咗嗰啲應該叫做月刊啊，嗰啲係咪叫月刊 subscription， 即係定期會寄嘢俾你嘅。咁係關於加拿大嘅新聞嗰啲雜誌啊或者報紙啊，好似 Globe and Mail 啊、溫哥華太陽報啊、省報啊咁嗰啲嘅話都符合嘅。咁我都睇過，可惜我哋明報同星島咧就唔喺個 list 裏邊嘅。Another tax credit is the Canadian Training Credit. It's a refundable tax credit up to 50% of eligible tuition. How you claim it is the lesser of half of the eligible tuition pay in the tax year and the accumulated amount of that account. Okay. This one here is very, very new. So I don't think you will see anything claiming any of this maybe the following year or maybe in 2 years. Okay. But this one just come up this year. And they accumulate $250 each year until maximum of 5,000. You have to be met the requirement. You have to file your tax every year. You have to be between the age of 25 to 64, and you have to be a resident of Canada throughout the year, and you have to earn income between 10,000 to the third bracket. I don't know why they make it so difficult, but they put a third bracket, third tax bracket. So I checked in 2020, the third tax bracket is $150,000, $473. Okay. So that's a new Canadian training credit. It is related to your tuition, okay, but the calculation is a little bit different. 咁另外一個聯邦政府嘅稅務優惠咧，就係一個叫做加拿大培育基金啊，教育 sorry 唔係教育教育嘅稅務優惠啦嚇。咁同之前嘅我哋用學費去減啊成啊嗰啲咧係類似，不過佢呢個咧嗰個佢個遊戲規則咧就改咗少少嘅。以前咧就係你個學費幾多就15% 啦，就俾個 non-refundable credit 你。但係呢一個咧就係佢有個每年250蚊有個額俾你儲，最多可以儲到5000蚊。咁咧你就要符合以下嘅條件啦，就係一定要每年報稅啦，你嘅年齡一定要25歲至65歲中間啦，一定要全年係加拿大嘅稅務居民啦，同埋你個收入必須要係1萬蚊至到第3個稅網。咁喺2020年第3個稅網個額係150473蚊嘅。咁你符合呢個條件嘅話咧，咁佢每年就會俾250蚊你去愛嚟減稅嘅。So another federal tax credit, but this is not new. This is already in our tax system for quite a while. But I want to bring it up is because I think people may be seeing it or maybe qualify for it for recent years. Is the home buyer amount. You can claim $5,000 if you met both of the conditions. Okay, so if your husband and wife is together 5,000, not each of them 5,000. So together 5,000. So you and your wife have to acquire a qualified home. Pretty much if you buy any home that you're living in, it will qualify. What is not qualified is, let's say you buy a farmland or buy acres of land, and those one maybe you have to look at the legislation to see is your land size qualified or not. But just apartment, a townhouse, or detached home, it will be qualified. And you do not live in another home owned by you or your spouse in the year acquired and in any year in any of the 4 year preceding, that will consider a first time home buyer. So what this one's saying is if you did not own any home in the previous 4 years under your name, and that is your principal residence, then you qualify. Okay. So what will happen if people, let's say they return from Canada, they return to Canada from Hong Kong, they sell their home last year and they come back this year, will they still qualify? The answer is no, because they did own a home that is occupied by them and their spouse in the past 4 years. Another credit is called medical expense. So everyone know about that. Is the threshold is 3% of your net income, or the threshold will be $2,397. And the other one, the third one is donation. And donation is if you donate money, then you can claim the tax credit, and it calculates as first $200 is 15%. Over $200, it will be 29%. And if your income is over 214,000, you can claim 33%. And a little tips here for all of you is donation can actually carry forward for 5 years. So you don't need to claim every year. So let's say you donate every year, you don't need to claim that every year. You can put it in your tax return, but carry forward to next year or to 5 years and claim it all at once. And you can potentially save $300 on that by doing this. 另外 聯邦政府咧嗰個仲有啲稅務優惠啦，但係呢個就唔係新嘅，呢個已經有喺我哋嘅稅務裏邊好幾年㗎啦，已經好多年㗎啦。咁第一個就係首次置業啦，首次置業。咁假如你係首次置業嘅話咧，你就可以攞到5000蚊嘅稅務優惠啦。咁要符合條件嘅，就係首先你或者配偶需要買咗間屋啦，買咗一間屋係自己住㗎啦，同埋你對上嗰4年係冇一間屋係自己住嘅，又係你個名，又係你名下嘅。咁即係譬如話有人啱啱喺香港回流翻嚟加拿大，佢買咗香港自住屋，翻嚟過嚟買一間屋，咁佢哋就唔會 qualify，因為佢喺香港已經有層樓係自住㗎啦，一定要對上嗰4年喺全球冇層樓係自己自住嘅。咁第二個咧就係大家都知啦，就係呢個medical expense 就係呢個醫療啦，醫療嘅亦都可以減稅啦。咁但係就唔係話每1蚊就減翻嘅，咁佢有個叫做限額，就最低消費啦，最低消費就係3% of 你個 net income 啦，或者2397蚊嘅。咁第三個想同大家分享嘅就係捐款啦donation。咁 donation 咧就係頭200蚊就俾15% credit你，超過200蚊咧就俾29% 你。咁假如你個收入嘅話係214000以上嘅話咧，你可以 claim 33% 嘅。咁俾少少 tips 大家咧，就係donation 咧就唔需要每1年去 claim 嘅，你可以儲埋5年，跟住一次過 claim 嘅，但係唔可以6年。嗰個稅費寫住5年啫。咁你儲埋5年一齊 claim 嘅話咧，你最多可以慳到300蚊嘅即係比起你每年 claim 咧，你會慳多300蚊嘅。咁最後一個想大家分享啦，呢個比較緊要嘅就係政治捐獻。咁假如你捐獻俾我哋標誌自由黨嘅話咧，咁嘅話頭個100蚊就75%，跟住之後100蚊至500蚊、550蚊嘅就50%，跟住550蚊以上咧就33.1%，33 1/3%。咁係啦，咁就係咁多啦。咁今日好多謝大家今日嚟嘅參與。咁我今日同大家分享到咁多。
Thank you so much, Ben. It's really very informative and very educational. I learned so much from your talk. I really appreciate that. And that's why it's good to have a media person, media training, to give this kind of talk, because it's all very succinct, all very clear, and also very funny as well. So it's not boring at all. You don't bore us. I am attracted to every single slide that you talk about. Thank you so much, Ben. 好多謝黎樹坤Ben 咧，會計師咧，同我哋頭先呢個咁嘅講解啦，係非常係有教育意味，而且我自己都學到好多咧，好多嘢都唔知道啊，譬如亦都唔知道話捐款可以留翻5年就可以慳到300蚊喎，咁呢個都可能係值得考慮，同埋亦都唔知道係譬如係去即係訂散報啊、太陽報啊嗰啲咧就可以咧就稅務今年特別係可以有啲稅務嘅優惠嘅。咁頭先睇到咧就係加拿大之星解釋咧，阿 Ben 喺你可能唔得閒睇咧，佢就話點解明報同星島日報咧就冇咧？其實最主要咧，因為明報、星島日報你喺網上睇佢你唔使俾錢嘅，但係咧散報同太陽報咧，你網上睇佢都要交錢嘅，所以就可能係呢個不同啦。咁所以
多謝，
好多謝加拿大之星去解釋俾我哋聽，
多謝
我想學到嘢。我本來仲想叫大家咁，你要同你哋嘅國會員傾傾啦，點解好似歧視中文傳媒咧？咁好多謝佢解釋到。剛才呢，我看見有議會的我們的參與者呢，就因為可能他不懂廣東話，所以他就感覺聽不懂。但我希望他明白呢，就是英語始終是我們的國家的語言，所以我們一定要講英語。但我們講中文的觀眾有個問題呢，就是如果我們要講廣東話又講英文呢，呢個小時絕對不可能呢就可以包括所有的資料，所以這個也是我們一個挑戰。所以如果你們是講普通話，等一下你問問題的時候，你還是可以用普通話問。我們的黎樹坤會計師他好厲害的。他也講普通話，也講廣東話，講當然英文，剛才都就沒問題。所以如果你們有問題，就可以用普通話問啦。Ben 就會以普通話來回答你們的。So now it's time for Ben to answer your question. You may want to type in your question in the chat box or text it to 778-228-2130. and my assistant will read out your question。而家時間到咗，阿 Ben 咧就解答大家問題啦。大家可以喺 chat box 嗰度咧就打你嘅問題入去啦，英文、中文都 OK 嘅。又或者短信77822822130咧，我嘅助理咧就會讀出你嘅問題。那現在咧是我們黎樹坤會計師回答大家的問題啦。你們可以在 chat box 咧輸入你們的問題，又可以或者短信給77822822130，我的助理會讀出你的問題的。Over to my assistant。而家我助理Trix 請你接班。
好，阿 Ben 有 Angel 就問係廣東話嘅。我嘅問題咧係有關點樣幫我個仔女申報大學學費。今年係我第2年自己報稅，我使用 TurboTax 報稅軟件。咁當我為個仔報稅咧，去到大學學費呢一行，我點擊 Help 去尋找 Unused Tuition Carry Forward。咁跟住咧就顯示舊年嘅學費數額啦。咁請問呢個係咪代表我可以將呢個數額複製到今年嘅 Carry Forward 方格？咁此外，可唔可以將部分數額轉移俾我或者我丈夫，定係應該將全數咧係留喺我個仔嘅 account，日後再申報咧？
嗱，呢個係好問題啦。咁首先解答呢個問題之前咧，仔仔可唔可以俾父母嘅話咧，係絕對可以嘅。OK， 每年嘅話咧，最高係可以俾5000蚊俾父母。咁但係個條件咧就係佢自己要係唔需要交稅或者佢用唔晒先得嘅。咁假如佢自己已經有收入嘅，咁佢要首先亦都要打稅嘅話咧，咁首先佢要自己用咗嗰啲 tuition 先，就唔可以話我唔用俾媽咪，就唔可以咁樣做嘅。所以假如佢係我就係就係讀緊書嘅，就冇打工嘅，咁又冇收入嘅，咁佢嗰啲學費咧係絕對可以 maximum 去5000蚊。咁當然啦，佢學費今年得3000蚊嘅話，就只可以transfer3000蚊俾父母嘅。
OK， 咁另外佢第2條問題係，另外我啲仔女啦，上個夏季喺屋企做兼職8個星期，請問佢哋可唔可以申報 work from home expenses？ 佢哋係冇從僱主咧係攞到 T2200S 嘅，咁請問佢哋係唔係仍然可以申報？係咪每日2蚊計算咧？
嗱，咁我就要又係翻返嗰個翻返去嗰個 slide 啦。假如大家頭先記得嘅話，就係佢嗰份工作係唔係原本係唔需要喺屋企嘅，但係因為疫症佢需要喺屋企，而且個時間係超過50% 喺屋企做嘢啦，同埋係連續4個星期都係嘅。假如符合呢啲咁嘅條件嘅話咧，咁佢2個仔女係可以每一日 claim 2蚊呢個 tax deduction 嘅。
OK， 我哋跟住咧係有個普通話嘅問題嘅，由 William 去問。
請問在2020年在2家公司工作，然後收到了2張 T4，一張 T4 收入大於3500元，然後老闆給交了 CCP，另一張 T4 由於收入低於了3500元，所以老闆沒有代繳，只在 T4 表上 box 24體現了 CCP earnings，經過 Schedule 8 Part 3核算，Line 14是負值，我看到詞表下面有一段解釋是 You may be able to make additional CCP contributions if the calculated amount on line 14 is negative。我想知道，既然老闆沒有替我交 CCP， 我就不打算填這個 CPT 20供 10.5% 的這個 CPP 繳費，請問這樣可以嗎？
是可以的，因為交 CPP 跟 EI 是僱主的責任。雖然你僱員的話也要去就是供一部分，但是是僱主的責任在你的工資裡面扣，但是你如果僱主沒有扣的話，你自己想增加進去是可以，但是你不想增加的話也可以，所以你不理他是可以的。
OK， KC 咧就問佢係用英文問嘅，但係你可以用廣東話答。What will happen if one hasn't filed tax for the last few years？
So you haven't filed your tax for a few years. So my first suggestion is do file up to date. So file it up. I'm not sure why you haven't filed, but if you own taxes, for sure you have to pay penalty and interest. So people get confused. Oh, I have to pay interest. Not just the interest, but you have to also pay the penalty. It's late fine penalty. Late fine penalty is 5% of your tax only, plus each additional late month 1%, plus interest, plus the interest on the amount that you're owning. So it's not just 6% that we're talking about. It could add up to more than 6%. So I would suggest file up to date, find an accountant, or you do it yourself, file up to date. But let's say you do not own any taxes. You say, you know what, I'm pretty sure I don't own any taxes. I still suggest that you file taxes, because first, it is our Canadian tax residents' responsibility to file taxes every year. And second reason why you want to file taxes is because you can get benefit, right? Just like our COVID-19, you want to get that $2,000, you have to file taxes to get. If you don't file taxes, you won't get it. Or even for the BC recovery benefit, that $500 or $1,000. So that's why you file taxes to get those benefits. And if you are, I think for low income, you can also get the farmer care for the medication, prescription drugs. Or for sure for the GST, every quarterly they will pay you some money if you are did meet that requirement.
Okay, and he has one more question. Do couples have to file tax together if one is working and the other half is retired? Can one just file own tax without getting spouse involved? Should marital status remain unchanged as married?
Yes, in Canada is actually individual filing taxes. So I file my own taxes, my wife file her own taxes. But people get the misconception is they file together, they don't file together, but they share the information together. So what I need to share on my spouse tax return is my net income, and my spouse needs to also share her net income into my tax return. And that's the only thing that we share. The reason why is sharing that information is, let's say you have a spouse that's not working. Okay, so that let's say it's my wife, she's not working, and she has zero income. And let's say I'm working, let's say I need to pay taxes. And remember, everyone will have what we call a personal amount or basic exemption. Okay, in this year, the federal is around $13,000. So what does that mean? That means that if you make just $13,000, you pay zero tax. But if you make, let's say, $14,000, the extra $1,000, then you will calculate tax. You have to pay tax on that extra $1,000. But because of my wife is not working, her $13,000 base amount exemption can transfer to me. So now all of a sudden, instead of $13,000, I'm exempt, I have $26,000 exempt. So that's why we need that information to see, can I use her benefit or not? And even though the wife does not work or have no income, again, I still suggest that she file taxes because you may potentially get some benefit from it.
Okay, another question. T4 without CCP contributions, because income under 3,500. Do I have to pay additional CCP?
No, if it's under the threshold, the 3,500 for the whole year, you don't have to pay any CPP on that one. That's the exemption for that.
OK， 现在我们有一个问题是用普通话的，是 Maggie。William 麻烦你。
好，请问我父亲是中国国籍，在2008年有移民到这边，作为永久居民的身份。以前在中国是没有私有住房的，所以他父亲在中国一直是租赁的国有房屋。现在国家把这个国有房屋征收了，给了一笔拆迁的补助款。请问这个补助款需要报税吗？如果需要，是按赠与还是按个人收入？还是按照 leasehold 的房屋买卖来进行报税？
我不好意思，那个的话我可能听一点不明白。你说的意思，他是在国内有一套房子，然后呢，现在政府要拆了，然后补的钱给他，对不对？
他没有房子，他是租用的国家的房子，然后国家把这个房子现在收回来了，然后给了他一笔这个补助款，这样子。
哦，那个的话，说实话，那个我是真的不知道，那个可能我要去研究一下，因为我要看他那个赔偿是属于哪一块。那比如说比如说我开车给人家撞了，那些赔偿呢是不用照税的。但是你说现在政府赔偿他那个班呢，要不要照税的话，那个我要回去要研究一些条文，我才能回答那个问题。不好意思。
Okay, from Angel again. Okay, sorry. From Angel again, for first-time home buyers, do you mean if a person sold their home, they then rent for over 4 years? After that, then they buy the home again. Then can they claim the first-time home buyer's tax?
Yes. Okay, that's a very, very good question. And she did actually read the wording really carefully. CLA specifically saying that is any 4 years, like this year you buy, and any 4 years prior you do not own a home under your name that you live in, then you're qualified. Yes. So even though I actually have a client ask me that, so even though that you buy a home last year, but you did not live in it, you rent it out right away as your investment property, that may also potentially qualify because you did not own a home that you live in. It's
Okay,
pure investment.
Okay, from Robert. For medical expense, if I have not claimed before, can I claim previous year expense?
Yes, you can claim up to 12 months. So, but it has to be touching this tax year. So what that means is, I can push it to the extreme is January 1st, 2020 is my last prescription invoice, and I can count 365 days beforehand. Those period you can claim.
OK，还有现在有一个普通话的问题，麻烦你问了。
请问刚刚说每年有减税250块的这个最高是5000块的这个减税的项目是什么名称？
那个叫 Canadian Training Credit， 我没有记错的话 ，Canadian Training Credit， 那个是今年才有的。哎，给我学一下，是那个 Canadian Training Credit， 对，那个是今年才有的。那个跟我们一般的学费计算是有一点点不一样。我们一般的用学费来抵税，就是你交多少的学费，然后当年还是之后，你可以用那个学费的15% 用来抵税。但是那个新的话，它的那个游戏规矩呢有一点点改变了，它就是用刚刚那边写的 the lesser of 2个哦，那么呢你就用 half of your tuition， 就是一半你的学费。那么呢，你就用那个250块钱的那个额。那当然，今年是250，因为今年刚开始。那明年的话，你没用的话就是500，然后后年的话就有那个750，这样慢慢累积到5000。
哦，好的。
那个呢，那个的话有一点不一样是，那个不是15% 给你抵，那个是基本上跟 RRSP 是一样的，跟那个 RSP 一样，在那边抵。比如说你有4万块钱的收入，你的那个Canadian Training Credit， 比如说有3000块钱，那边的话就减3000块钱，那你的 Net Income 的话就4万减3000，这样来算。
好，谢谢。然后还有另外一位讲普通话听众的问题是，他去年他的儿子跟儿媳买了楼花，然后后来因为申办贷款，他的儿子换成了他和他儿媳联名来做这个贷款，但是没有金钱的交易在中间，所以想问一下，他儿子需要今年因为这个file tax 关于这个的东西吗？
你说的是儿子跟儿子老婆买了一个楼花，
对，
然后现在改名字了，就是
改为他和他儿子的老婆。
就是他儿子就不在了，对不对？
对。
然后问那个转名的话，算不算是一个capital gain？
对。
那个的话是非常好的问题。那个的话我会猜呢，我猜 CLA 的话有可能会出信过来问 ，OK？ 那特别是楼花专名的话，会出来问。但是那个的话情况要看看他的儿子本来有没有一套房子是自己住的，也是他的名下的。如果有的话，那一块楼花的话，基本上是要打 capital gain 税的。如果他说没有，那个是他本来想买来自己住的，他从来都没有房子是他的名下，那个的话有可能是要回来的时候的话，有可能去找一个会计师去帮你去跟 CLA 解释一下，可以看看可不可以 waive 一个capital gain， 因为CLA 不知道你的用途是什么，你的 intention 是什么，所以他会出信问，会出信说，哎，那个的话我们觉得是你的 investment， 那但是如果你跟他解释的话，有机会的话可以解释得了。
Okay, from Robert. I made a second suite in my basement for rent. How can I claim this expense for my rent?
So second suite 就是 so that means the basement is that what it means?
Yep.
So he lived at the top, bottom he rented out, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So anything, property tax, insurance, I'm pretty sure utility that you pay also, repair, all those things it can claim by proportion. So let's say the basement is worth about 40% of your whole house. So you leave 60% for your own use, 40% rented out, then all those amount that I just mentioned, the property tax, insurance, maintenance and repair, all those things, the 40% you can claim as expense.
OK，阿 Ann 咧就問2020年咧就買咗間新屋，但係就仍然未賣咗間舊屋。咁佢個父母咧就住喺間舊屋，咁有咩改動咧個 file 嗰度嘅
？2020年買咗間新屋係咪啊？
係啦，但係未賣間舊屋。咁個父母仲住喺間舊屋。
咁嘅話佢係唔需要做任何嘢嘅而家，因為佢未賣嗰層樓啊嘛。佢今年報稅亦都唔需要。我 assume 佢冇收爹哋媽咪嘅租金啦，咁佢就冇租金收入啦，咁佢就唔需要做任何一樣嘢。但係我會提一提嘅就係個省政府嗰個投機及空置稅個 speculation and vacancy tax 嗰度嘅話，你就要填一填，就係話假如佢自己係加拿大稅務居民，而且佢唔係一個叫做 satellite family， 即係叫衛星家庭嘅話咧，咁佢個父母亦係加拿大稅務居民嘅話咧，咁佢可以有個 exemption 就唔需要俾嗰個省政府省投機及空置稅嘅。咁但係假如你話 income tax 嚟計嘅話咧，佢依一刻係唔需要做任何嘢，直至到佢賣啦，咁嗰陣時咧就要有啲 capital gain 喺度，因為同一時間唔可以有兩個 principal resident， 所以其中一間係一定會係打 capital gain 噶啦。
OK，Angel 咧就問for my kids summer camp job $2 per day. Should I only count the work day, not included the day off or weekend?
Sorry， 我唔係好明呢個問題。
For my kids summer camp job $2 per day， 我相信佢係講緊嗰個
400蚊
work from home 嗰個。
哦，嗰400蚊係咪啊？係嗰400蚊係咯，就係假如佢係原本係需要喺嗰個地方度工作嘅 ，OK， 原本需要喺個地方，但係因為疫症嘅話，佢唔去得，咁僱主話你要喺屋企做工作啦，咁而且佢嘅工作嘅嗰個時間係超過50% 喺屋企嘅 ，OK， 同埋係連續4個禮拜嘅話咧，咁佢係個小朋友係有資格可以 claim 嗰2蚊一日嘅。
頭先跟進翻頭先 Robert 嘅問題㗎，佢話關於佢個 basement suite。I spent $20K to make a second suite for rent. How can I claim the $20K, the cost?
OK，20K 嘅話，即係佢應該係做過嗰啲改動啦，係咪？即係可能要整個廚房或者整個喉啊，或者拆牆。咁嗰啲咧就唔係可以當年去 write off 佢嘅。OK，因為嗰啲我哋叫做 structural 咧，咁嗰啲就要去做叫折舊 depreciation。咁睇下係乜嘢款啊？譬如話佢話係買appliances 嘅，即係洗衣機啊、爐頭啊，咁嗰啲另外有個 rate 啦。譬如你話地板啊、改牆啊或者拉電線啊嗰啲，另外一個 rate 嚟嘅。咁所以睇佢做過啲咩嘢係有唔同 rate 嘅。
唔好意思，麻煩你要用英文再講一講，原來佢係講英文嘅。
sorry Robert. So for that $20,000 that you spend to renovate your home for the basement for rental, you cannot expense it 100% in 1 year. You will have to do what we call the depreciation, or in tax language, capital cost allowance, CCA. So different item will have different rate of depreciate. So let's say if you have a stove or washer or dryer, that will have a different rate than if you, let's say, doing a flooring, rewind the electricity, or you're building a room. Those one will be completely a different rate. So I cannot tell you how much you can claim, but based on what items that you are buying or doing, then they got different rate that you can depreciate over the year. But you cannot depreciate all at once in this taxation year.
OK， 我 Stella 咧就問有位係香港政府嘅退休人士啦，咁佢有個每月都有個 pension 嘅。 咁佢嗰個 pension 算唔算係 income 咧？算唔算係收入咧？
算嘅，嗰個 pension 係算係收入嘅，亦都需要攞嚟加拿大度計稅嘅。咁我唔知嗰個 pension 喺香港需唔需要俾香港政府稅啦。咁假如佢係需要俾香港政府稅，而且香港政府已經收咗稅嘅話咧，咁香港政府交嗰個部分稅咧係可以攞翻嚟加拿大做 claim 翻嘅。即係譬如話佢嗰個退休金收入攞過嚟加拿大計算，需要俾你say3000蚊個稅嘅。咁大概香港呢一個退休金已經俾人扣咗1000蚊㗎啦。咁加拿大你要交3000蚊，咁加拿大政府話 OK， 我俾你香港交嗰1000蚊攞翻嚟抵，咁你淨係需要補2000蚊俾加拿大政府嘅啫。
唔該晒。有位現在有一個普通話的問題，麻煩你為了。
請問可以抵稅的工會費或者是專業服務費，包括針灸師或者按摩師的每年的續牌費嗎？
你說的是，他是本身是一個有牌的，
針灸師這樣子。
對，有牌的中醫師，對不對？
對，針灸師。
對，針灸師、按摩師那些是絕對是可以抵的，那個是 membership fee。就像我會計師，我有會計師的工會的費，就是會計師工會 CPA 的費用，那個的話當然可以100%可以抵的。
謝謝。
睇嚟我哋個問題係咁多啦，唔知仲有冇人係需要想問咧 ？Are there any more questions？ OK， 如果冇，我哋今晚就可以結束啦。麻煩你 Teresa。
Okay. Thank you so much for all almost 50 of us participating in tonight's talk, and I have to thank Ben for spending the time. I know right now is extremely busy for you. I'm sure you work 24/7, but you still take time to talk to us. It looks like that this accounting, I think everybody has to file tax as you told us, even though we don't have to file, you don't have to pay any tax, but you still have to file it for the sake of getting any benefit. So each of you who is now listening to this session, I hope that remember the filing tax deadline is the end of April, right? The 30th of April. So if you don't know how to file tax, get an accountant, or you can get in touch with Ben or any other accountant that you want to get in touch. If you know how to do your tax, you can do your tax, but be careful, right? If you owe government tax, they will fine you. It's not only pay back, there will be penalty. Thank you so much, Ben, for your time. I really appreciate that. 今次講座咧已經去到尾聲啦，好多謝大家嘅參與，亦都非常衷心感謝 Ben 咧。其實所有會計師而家咧，其實你請佢食飯佢都唔得閒食㗎啦。雖然冇 COVID-19， 因為佢哋呢個時間係佢哋揾錢嘅時間，因為咧係最多客戶嘅時間。咁但係 Ben 咧仍然係履行佢公民嘅責任，因為佢亦都好誠意咁樣接受我嘅邀請咧，仲同大家咧講解稅務嘅問題，等我哋多啲認識我哋嘅權利、我哋嘅責任。同埋我哋應該做啲咩嘢？好多謝阿 Ben。咁大家記住啦，報稅嘅期限係4月30號，而且好似阿 Ben 頭先講咧，就算你唔需要交稅嘅話咧，你都一定要報稅。有咩好處咧？就係因為如果有福利嘅時候咧，政府係會自動咧就將福利係嚟到發俾你哋嘅，所以咧記住啦，一定要係報稅，同埋喺4月30號，如果唔係你咧就要可能遭受到罰款啦。咁樣千祈唔好記得，但係咧而家疫情期間，希望大家咧就要記住遵守我哋所有嘅我哋嘅衛生官同我哋講咧，就係一定要有社交距離啦，戴口罩啦。希望大部分嘅人士都可以好快咧就接種咗疫苗。記住要健康同埋安全。多謝大家，很感謝大家今天出席今天晚上這個活動，也非常感謝我們的會計師 Ben。這個時間是他們最忙的時間，你請他吃飯，他也不可以跟你吃飯，因為他們的生意在現在這段時間是最多的。但他今天晚上還跟我們很詳細的跟我們解釋這麼多的問題，然後還回答大家的問題。記住啦，每個人都應該報稅的。今年那個報稅其實每年的報稅的限期是4月30號，一定要記得報稅啦。好，謝謝大家，拜拜。
謝謝，
多謝，拜拜。
everyone，
多謝阿 Ben，多謝阿 Teresa，
多謝你哋。
多謝晒，拜拜。